This may be the shortest Saturday Hodgepodge ever. Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to my Saturday Hodgepodge, my weekly wrap-up of things bookish, booktube, anything else that I really wanted to talk about. And I don't have a lot to talk about this week because I haven't really been doing a lot of reading. I wouldn't say I'm in a slump so much as just kind of feeling stress from other commitments that I have going on in my life. And then my wife and I are going to be traveling all next week into October on our trip to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So we'll be gone for about a week. There won't be any videos next week, even though I do hope to be able to post some shorts with, video from our trips, kind of like little vlogs that I can put up on the channel. But I won't have any videos back up until really around, I don't know, October the 4th or so. So this will be the last one for a while. I did read two books this week. The first is Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein, which was on the Booker Prize long list and now is on the Booker Prize short list. I did a whole review of that book. I really liked it, even though I realized that it is kind of what people say, a Marmite book or a cilantro book. You know, people have very strong feelings either one way or the other. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middling feeling about it. I was really happy to see it make the short list, even though I doubt very seriously that it will end up winning. But I did think it was a really good, interesting book. And the other book I read this week was Cargo by the Australian author Jessica Au. Jessica Au, I believe, is the child of immigrants to Australia, and I read this as both part of Straya September because it's really short, kind of novella length, and as a part of Straya September, the reading event that Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot started this year to read Australian literature. So I read it for that reason. I believe it satisfies one of the prompts he have. I'll try to remember to leave a link to his video down below. So Cargo is Au's first published novel novella, and I believe it might have started off as a few stories which she then strung together to make this kind of short novel. It is primarily a novel about young people, teenagers in their kind of mid to late teens, and so I know for a lot of people that's not going to be really appealing. There is a lot of angsty kind of teenage stuff involved here. And so I would say plot-wise, it's not all that original, with the exception of having one of the characters who has a disability being involved in the story. And, you know, there really are no real happy endings necessarily in the story, in the novel, but I thought the writing was at times just absolutely beautiful, and this is one of the things I thought was true about Au's more well-known book, which is Cold Enough for Snow, which I also really love. So, you know, if you don't mind the angsty stuff and you like Cold Enough for Snow and you really thought that Au was a great writer, then I think that Cargo is a book that you might think about picking up and reading, just to kind of see how she writes from a different perspective and from a different point of view. I saw that my friend Gareth over at Book Songs and Other Magic had read Giovanni's Room. James Baldwin is one of my absolute favorite authors, and so I was happy to see that you read Giovanni's Room, and it reminded me that there is a passage, a scene in Giovanni's Room, which I oftentimes think about as some of the best writing that I've ever read, particularly about description of a place that gives you a sense of the feeling, the rhythm, the excitement or the atmosphere of what's going on. I thought this was just really great. It's pretty early on in a really short book. In my book, it's on page 47, and it's describing the main character, David, and he's with Giovanni and some other men, and they've been, I believe, out drinking all night, and they're essentially looking for a place for breakfast. So yeah, I thought I would read that to you because I just think it's really great writing. So forgive me for this lengthy read. Now the cab driver asked us where we wanted to go, for we had arrived at the choked boulevards and impassable side street of Leal. Leeks, onions, cabbages, oranges, apples, potatoes, cauliflowers stood gleaming in mounds all over, on the sidewalks and the streets before great metal sheds. The sheds were blocks long, and within the sheds were piled more fruit and more vegetables, in some sheds fish, in some sheds cheese, in some whole animals lately slaughtered. It scarcely seemed possible that all this could ever be eaten, but in a few hours it would all be gone, and the trucks would be arriving from all corners of France, and making their way to the great profit of a beehive of middlemen across the city of Paris to feed the roaring multitude. who were roaring now, at once wounding and charming the ear, before and behind, and on either side of our taxi. Our taxi driver and Giovanni, too, roared back. The multitude of Paris seemed to be dressed in blue every day but Sunday, when for the most part they put on an unbelievably festive black. Here they were now in blue, disputing every inch our passage with their wagons, hand trucks, camions, their bursting baskets carried at an angle steeply self-confident on the back. A red-faced woman burdened with fruit shouted to Giovanni, the driver, to the world, a particularly vivid cochonnerie, in which the driver and Giovanni at once at the top of their lungs responded, though the fruit lady had already passed beyond our sight, and perhaps no longer even remembered her precise, obscene conjectures. We crawled along, for no one had yet told the driver where to stop, and Giovanni and the driver, who had, it appeared immediately upon entering Leal, been transformed into brothers, exchanged speculations, unflattering in the extreme, concerning the hygiene, language, private parts, and habits of the citizens of Paris. Jacques and Guillaume were exchanging speculations, unspeakably less good-natured, concerning every passing mail. The pavements were slicked with leavings, mainly cast-offs, rotten leaves, flowers, fruit, and vegetables which had met with disaster, natural and slow or abrupt, and the walls and corners were combed with pissoir, dull-burning makeshift braziers, cafes, restaurants, and smoky yellow bistros. Of these last, some so small that they were little more than diamond-shaped enclosed corners, holding bottles and a zinc-covered counter. At all these points, men, young, old, middle-aged, powerful even in the various fashions in which they had met or were meeting their various ruin, and women, more than making up in the shrewdness and patience, in an ability to count and weigh and shout whatever they might lack in muscle, though they did not really seem to lack much. Nothing here reminded me of home, though Giovanni reveled in it all. I think that is just a brilliant description of any place. Leal is the area traditionally in which the food markets existed in Paris. I don't necessarily think it serves that function anymore, but I thought that was just a really vivid description and just really great writing. The only other thing I had thought about this week is I was going to make a list of my favorite songs by bands I hate. And because I was thinking about all kinds of other stuff, I only came up with one, and that is Fortunate Son by the band Creedance Clearwater Revival. I hate Creedance Clearwater Revival. They're not a band that I like. I don't like the way John Fogerty's voice sounds. I think most of the time they made money by taking other people's songs and performing them, which is not one of the things I respect most of all in the musical world. But Fortunate Son, kind of their anti-Vietnam anthem, always gets me. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, please share with me your favorite song by a band that you hate. In other words, this has to be a band that you really don't like, but they have that one song that for you like. Maybe it's an earworm for you. I don't know. Please share that in the comments down below. I look forward to all your comments, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in about a week.